A little bit of rain might dampen the course, but it certainly won't dampen the mood or the excitement surrounding the opening round of the 47th KLPGA Championship. It is presented by CreaS FNC. We say good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you're joining us from. You are more than welcome to the Lakewood Country Club, the first of 4 rounds where the first major championship of the season will be decided. How about starting the broadcast with an absolute slam? Pak Young is a co-leader after her opening round 68. She is tied in a 4-way split for that number 1 spot on the leaderboard. Of course, she is searching for the 3rd championship in her career at this event. Remarkable stuff, and great to see a past champion performing oh so well so early in this competition. As we continue to cascade through the leaderboard as we begin our coverage today, we'll also remind you, in case you missed it, that leaderboard moves pretty quick. Hong Jin Young 2, Kim Ji, and Kim Min Sol also tied with Pak Young at the top after 18 holes. This is a tournament that was won last season by Chan Ye Sung. She is about 10 minutes away from opening her first round. Let's go to hole number 9. Hong Jin Young 2. She was tied for the top, and it's a really, really nice finish with their final swing of the day. It is now sole possession for her. There is 1.3 billion won up for grabs. 234 million of that will go to our leader, and of course the prestigious acclaim to this title. Sponsored holes across the course and history to be written. That is what we love so much about these major championships. All right, false alarm. Obviously, that was not what you know too. We were just making sure you were paying attention. There you are. That is the putt for par we had shown you. 4 under. Apologies. First few minutes of the broadcast, got some wrinkles to smooth out. It's onwards and upwards. It's also onwards and upwards onto the green. The approach shot here with the wind fairly calm. It is a wet course. It will play soft. It will play attackable. But you ask the players from top to bottom, every single one of them, from this massive field, what makes Lakewood so challenging? I'll tell you, to a player, it's technical. Iron shots are the difference. You get your irons, you get your wedges, and your putter in harmony, good things can happen. The greens that have a lot of slopes and can be a little bit unforgiving at times. Just like this lie up on the hillside. Well, you like the wet grass for the greens to attack the pins. You, especially as a golfer, do not like wet grass in the rough. Thicker, heavier, harder to escape from. And while this looks like a pretty vantage point, the challenge is pretty overwhelming. Here is a putt from off the green. It will have just enough speed to get all the way to the target. Lee Ga-young, 3 birdies, 3 bogeys now on her 17th hole. She returns to even par. We are prepared now to witness the second shot on the 6th for Hung Yoo-min. She is prepared as best as she could be. It's 108. She's 5.7 meters above the pin, and she is going to try to reach the back, that top plateau that you can just make out considering where she was, that is more than a satisfactory result. She'll roll back, and in fact, the slip might help her with a little extra meter, let's call it that, and tip our caps and applaud the effort for Hung Yu Min. Trying to transverse this green, Hong Jung Min. A putt that would have brought her within one. Instead, it is a par, and instead, she will stay at 2 under. 17, I believe, next. If the car on offer is anything to give us a clue, Kim Min Seol. She goes towards the back left. An interesting green, this par 3. It's diamond shaped with some waves, 44 yards long. That is lined up and executed to utter perfection. A long birdie. Lee Dong-eun back-to-back now. 4, and the most recent heroic effort at 5. Undulating hillside is well anticipated, and a well-executed approach shot. A very makeable birdie forthcoming for Chung Ji-yo. This is her 3rd. So wherever she gets is what she'll have left for par, so she knows she needs to be close. I would say that certainly qualifies. Should be able to get up and down for a par. That's a nice wedge shot. Kim Min Sun 7, looking for birdie. The 22-year-olds still riding the high of her first ever trophy. She won last week. Can forgive her for not being as rapid out the gates. Still finding her footing in this competition. Duke Sheen EPC Championship over at Kingsdale. A 4-round with Kim Min Sun 1-1 with a brilliant showing. Dust settled on that competition. The margin between the champion and her closest adversary is 5 strokes, convincing victory. Here's Hung Yu Min. Looking for 3 under. The break starts, but she started from 2 inside a position, and some of that ball is hovering over the edge of the cup. Here's Bung Shin Shil. She is ranked number 1 in the current power rankings heading into the KLPGA Championship. She had absolutely loves this Lakewood Country Club. Her strokes gained here have been something of a marvel over the years. Oh, from a very close distance. She will have some regrets. An opportunity to join the fray. 19th and final hole at 4 under, excuse me, but settles for a par at the very end. Now EA1, it is 118 meters. Her approach at number 8 joins her group mates to the left of the pin. Kim Min-sol looking to take the outright lead with a birdie here, and she's just going to be about 20 centimeters short. Well, she doesn't take the outright advantage. She preserves her place in that leading pack. Number 6, Chung Yoon-ji. A little left to right, not much to raise the stress levels. She delivers. That's 3 birdies in the last 5 holes and back-to-back for her here. It is a great start to this front nine. Punshin Shields started that to the outside, and she had absolutely no desire to come back online. So that will be a bogey. She goes +1 after 4. Was for her a win at the Nexen St. Nine Masters, middle of April, winning at Takaya. Kim Min-ju playing the front 9, which is the mountain course, but down to just her final 2 holes. With that short-changed effort, she's down to 1 opportunity remaining to improve the score. Teeing off on 7, it is the second par 5 on the mountain course at 512 yards. It is the shortest of the 4. Drive to the left side of the fairway. The oohs and ahs ring out from the gallery, and for good reason. Coach Yu is back under par. He's going swimmingly until a double bogey a handful of holes ago. But she sees a dash beside the number alongside her name. Perfectly struck drive. Back to the tee in a moment, but first, EA1. A little bit short as she looked to go back to back. And that leaves on the tee. There's one more competitor. It's an unfortunate hop, skip, and a jump to the left side and settling in the rough. Splitting the initial to approach, both of which are beyond satisfactory. She will fancy her odds to circle on the scorecard. For Pak Bogyam, it is back-to-back birdies, and she's playing it cool. Acknowledging the supporters, but not getting too excited, despite having the distance to the lead already so early on this front nine. Well, what day the glove will stay on. Finds a little extra grip and sense of security in the backswing. Whatever it takes. Well, we had some understandable concerns about the weather a couple of hours ago as we looked ahead to the afternoon. It obviously rained a bunch, and it is possible that it will rain some more, but face a wind of 2 meters per second. It is coming out of the west. We're hopeful that Friday and Sunday will be a little sunnier, a little more dry, but Saturday, some more rain in the forecast. It is still early in May. Let's go to 9. Riga Young, this is it for her today. One last chance to get 2 under par. Starting on the line, straightening out. Will go missed, and only just. About 10 centimeters to the right, she will have to settle for a par. A tumultuous trip through the forest course. She ultimately ends at a 72. Huh, says Hung Yumi. Not sure how shot into where it did. She's usually pretty good with that club. And this time, Hong Jung-min gets her break. 3 under, a 69 tied for 5th. A bogey-free first round is a formidable commencement to major number 1 in 2025. On number 5, the par 3, Hong Jung-min, 182. This is the longest of the short holes, with a pin placement today, center right. Wind calm, an approach onto an upsloping green that will force out any of the remaining speed on that approach. The soft greens certainly help as well. Peng Xin-Chia looking for a bounce back. It is a 7-iron for her on the 5th. Less ball flight as she just clears the fringe. Ends up, let's call it 3.5, 4 meters away from her birdie. Goes on. The line there was spot on, but carrying a bit too much speed. This, well, it is less successful. It is short, and it is going to be buried in the tall grass. Is Chung Yoon-ji on the par 5. This was her 3rd. Still in with a shot for a birdie. Tough one here in the sand. Needs to get up and down in a hurry. Anyway, glanced off the ball marker of her group mates, but it was always going to be tough to get the spin required to pluck that out of the beach and keep it short. You can see the pin placement, very left at the back. There is not a lot of room, and you do not want to be short. Safety first, I suppose, is the overall mindset. Goes the up and down. Conquest, that is just that little bit long. The exits to Joe Jungmin on number 5, the par 3. This time it is short. Hung Yumin to go to 3 under, 1 back. It's going to be uphill. It's going to need to carry some speed. She splits the markers of her group mates and drops it in. 7 holes, 3 birdies, tied for 5th position. Well, it's a bounce back in the sense that it's not 2 holes in a row going down. Short, sweet, simple finish. J.O. birdies at 2 and 7 now. Tied for 14th at 1 under. Let's go back to 9. It's a long distance, but a downhill putt. She managed all the variables, and what she gets out of it, Kim Min-ju, is a birdie. Tied for 5th with a 34 on the way out, a 35 on the way in, a 3 under after 18 holes. Powering that drive. And overpowering, perhaps, ENG as it lands in the rough. Yumin loses the grip on the follow-through, and she sacrificed a little accuracy as a result. EA1, look at the run in, 5-7-9. 3 birdies in that span. Her 4th of the day, her final hole. It is 4 under and a tie for the lead. Interesting one here. Off the green at the back, electing to putt from up the hillside. Coach Yu looking for a par here. This is her 71st shot of the day. She wants it to be her last. And that will just hang on long enough. Coach Yu, save for that double at 5 and the bogey at 6. She could be one of the members of that top spot, the top group, I should say, because there are a growing number of them now. Kim Min Sol also wrapping up. It is a 4 under for her as well. This is why we call it a group. There's a growing list, a popular score. Well, it might not be those gorgeous blue skies that we're so fond of, but rather a quaint, nature-loving type of day with the clouds hanging on top of the mountains. It's the type of picture that you can just smell. Freshly cut grass. And while it might be activating a different sense, the anticipation, of course. The 47th KLPGA Championship presented by CreaS FNC. 68's the score to beat here at Lakewood. Welcome back to the Lakewood Country Club. We are live in Yeongju-si, the Gyeonggi-do region of this great golfing nation. And one of this tour's prides and joy. 47th KLPGA Championship presented by CreaS FNC. Last year, number 4 was important in that it was the number of victories that Lee Jung-min had on Chunye Song. Today, the number 4 is relevant because we have 5 players at that mark, all in the clubhouse with a 68. And so long as the rain stays away, the players get accustomed with a steady set of course conditions, it would surprise nobody to see someone from this field go on breakthrough and top the charts with a 67 or more. Peng Xin-shil, she's +1 with a bogey at 4, if memory serves. Looking to get that stroke back, get back to even, and with shots like that, she should be there in no time. Next is Chung Yoon-ji, she's 3 under on the 8th. Bouncing that off the fringe. Could not have landed in a better position. It absorbs the speed of the approach and leaves her pin high with a chance to go to 4 under. Next up, it is Hung Yoo-min. 358. Distance on this par 4 8th. She wants to try to stay on the front right. You can see the pin to the right of a bright red camera tower. She's right, but I don't know that I could accurately classify that as front right. She rolls off towards the back quadrant. Dungen on number 7. This will go downhill. It's going to break hard right. In fact, she's actually lacking a little bit of speed. That was not the outcome we would have expected, certainly. Nudge to get this going. It will also end up short. Very well executed approach here. We've seen this be a very attackable hole with a slight upslope just past the fringe. Peng Xin-shil, a putt for birdie and even par, and she's got it. She doesn't stay above the even mark for very long. Quickly refocusing and getting back down to business. long way back. Starting onto the line, this has half a chance, you know. Deserved applause for a valiant try. Gio at number 8. She is at 1 under and hoping to stay there, but her work's cut out for her. A little bit more to do than she would have liked. It is indeed a miss, and it is indeed a tap-in. She dropped to even. Second bogey of the day, 4 and 8 now. Holes in which she has dropped shots. Chung-Yun-Ji, slight uphill, very little break to it. She absolutely deserves that one. 4 on the bounce, how about that? Quickly racing up to the lead. It's actually her 5th birdie of this opening round, and she's not even at the turn yet. Shot. Starting with the big swing of the driver. Tucking in neatly behind the player that teed off moments before. Perfect 3 for 3. Quite the longest drive, but you could argue the most accurate, right down the middle. focusing our attention onto this approach shot that looked really promising, but unfortunately she couldn't get the backspin required to keep that in the 3-meter radius of the pin. E. Dungan will be next, also at 8. With calm winds, wasn't a guarantee. She had to deliver, and she most certainly did. Strategy meeting between golfer and caddy. It's a co-leader, which there are 5. Chung Yoon-ji. Birdies on the bounce. It will take a really Herculean effort to make it 5 from 5. She's not going to birdie every single hole on the way in. Next up is Chung Ji-il, 113. Parallel with the outside right edge of the bunker. And ahead 16 yards is the pin. Pretty much exactly there. That's one of the best we've seen of anyone to come through this 8th hole. And Mata Som 7, birdieing the par 5, going to 2 under. Hung Yimeen to close out the group. Closer to the first approach than the middle. She's also over on that right side. A rather tricky downhill putt with plenty of break in it. Coming up next. Jan Sol for birdie. Here it comes, moving back to the right, not in time. That last downhill portion picked up a little bit more speed and ball pops out the other side. She avoids the water, but does miss out on the fairway. A bit of a tumultuous start to the major. Some good, some not so good. She'll be hoping for a bit more consistency. On 8, An Sung-yi. Next to try. We just saw really the scouting report. This will go down, this will pick up speed, and it will move left to right. Just wonder if she's left herself enough room. No. This is to the outside. Really well played. Mind you, this is a very attackable hole. Gives everyone a little extra bit of belief in their wedges. And now he dug in for birdie for 4 under. Can't make it a 6th at the score on this time. Jung Yoon-ji. No one faults her for not continuing the streak, but never say never. She has to try. This will start well to the outside right. A big backswing, decent follow through, but it does end up short. From a bit of a tricky spot in the rough, keeping herself alive on this hole. Hung Yoo-min on number 9 for birdie. Needs to stay straight, but that dream has long since vanished. Goes out with a 33, 1, 2, and 7, the holes on which she birdies. You'd have to be looking very hard to find issue with that approach from Matt Dassom. It's well played. She's on pace for a 36 at the turn. But one swing of the putter, he's able to get under par. 3 birdies. Midway mark of the round, 2 bogeys is on the fun side of par, heading to the 10th. She looking to follow in her footsteps. This is her look for a birdie at 7. She will just run out of speed. And that took a frustrating situation into an unfathomable one. It will be 3 putts on this hole, and she went from knocking on the door down the lead to watching some of that great work, that run of continuous birdieing, all by the wayside. A disappointing bogey. She'll dust herself off and go again. This is an approach from about 15 meters shy of the green and wasn't struck the way she intended. Short is where she stays. It's a little bit more tricky from there. On 7, Keeming Sutton 7 for birdie to go to even. Left to right break and too much speed. Quick turnaround and completes the hole with a second and decisive putt. So who's next? With her heels in the rough, the ball on the left side of the fairway. She will just have enough to escape from the fringe on the inside left of the hole. Now Pak Bok-yum for birdie. This is hole number 8. It is inching closer and closer. But within that final meter, she runs out of speed. Chian Sol, -1. Hole number 9. There she goes on the attack. Well overhit, in fact. Slows to a stop only on the fringe. Yu-Hyun Jo trying to avoid dropping back to even. It's 9.1 uphill. Might have even moved directions on a piece of grass, but alas, she will not have the accuracy needed to avoid dropping. Lee Dong-eun, ball slightly beneath her feet in her stance. It's 108 meters. Stop, they shout. Stop, they shout. And it does stop just in time. Mata Som, this for 3 under, and she walked it right away. She knew. Too quick. There is patience around this 9th green. We tick into the 4 o'clock hour here in Yangju-shi. Playing the final hole of the mountain course. The forest course will be the host of the back 9. It is a long journey to go from the first shot of round 1 to the final shot of round number 4. And immortality on the KLPGA Tour, on top of everything else that's being offered, financially and otherwise. That is what these athletes are competing for this week. So far, no one has been able to get to the 5 under mark. But that can change, and that can change in a hurry. Certainly with still half a round and then some to play. This putt will start on the fringe. It's going to need the speed, even though it's downhill. It's looking promising. Just doesn't have that last break left to right. A little more than a tap in to finish this one off. It's Pengxin Shield next on 8. Softly absorbed by the fringe and popping back out just about pin high. We will start to release more and more players onto the forest course. It's a solid drive, dead center, down the fairway. is next. 3 under, a 33 on the way out. Starts with a 401-yard, 367-meter par 4. It is the second longest of all such holes. The par 4 is only number 13 as it beats by 13 moves. Yes, a little power up is a 90-minute grind to the finish line on 18. Great drive, almost equal in distance to the centimeter, just slightly more right. Goes down the 10th fairway. We will turn our attention back to 9. Unsung Yi. A little short. A bit for birdie. Just a tap in par to see her hit the turn. 36, bogey 1, birdie 4, and 7 pars to go along. Next to play in the Group E down in, she could join fray of 4. Maybe it's a 4-way. I'll see myself out just wide. Exhale through the teeth. Tied for 6th. Great run, 4, 5, and 6 with birdies. She reaches the midway point, 1 back. Here at Lakewood Country Club. It opened back in 1972, back when it was known as Royal Country Club. Designed by one of the best designers in the world of golf, David M. Dale. Trying to mimic some of the prestigious American golf courses. Some United States PGA matches, tournaments held here. And since 1995, the home of the KLPGA Championship. KLPGA Championships, I should say. This is the one, of course, but since 1995, this has been a stop on the tour. Jean Shield can hardly believe her luck. Maybe even lent against the pin. It needs another tap to get the rest of the way there. Yamin with that drive found herself slightly in the rough, off to the left. And with her second shot, she goes all the way to the back. It's a 42-yard long green. She wanted to be at the front right. One long and 1 short. I think the latter will be the more pleased of the two. Does have a fair distance to traverse across the front of the green. I want to correct myself. It's the 6th time Lakewood has held this tournament and the 3rd in the row. Lee Dayan won in 2023. Lee Jungmin last year. 23 under was a scintillating score. We are nowhere near tracking on that, but a wet and windy day can certainly have an impact on that. Sticking with you, Yunzhou. 114 meters, separated from the green by the sand trap. It is a pitching wedge in her hands. It's with a thud, a soft bounce, and screeching to a halt.
계속 있어. 여기 막 5분 중간부터 좀 있어.
There's a lot to discuss and plan for here ultimately. And the foresight, the skill, and maybe just a smidge of luck when we're talking about 20-meter putt for birdie. Give it her best try. She needs it to pick up some speed and also stay true. Speed was almost perfect. That's at 99%. The line will give it a 95. Flag can stay in, she says. It's a tap in par.
좋아. 나이스!
It's one of the better ones we've seen since coming on the air 76 minutes ago. Inside of 100, and it showed. Great short game play. Across the face of the green. Brought that extra speed with her to leave no doubt that it was going to get it where she needed to be. She sacrificed the line in the process. Eventful par, but for the worst thing, especially in the first round, to avoid the bogeys. ENG learned that lesson at number 9, and putter has cooled off significantly, putting from the fringe and playing it short. There's another one that's awfully close, but not one to influence the score. And Joe, it's out with the 36. One of each. Birdie and bogey and 7 pars as well. She avoids going back-to-back bogeys. She will be striving to arrive on the green in regulation on the very next hole. Good job.
고생하셨습니다.
Well, it was a patience tester, as it can often be in the opening 2 rounds of a tournament. 132 players in the field. Sometimes you walk up to the start of the next hole and you then have to stand there for a little while. She's away at last, parring number 10. All smiles for Hung Yumin. Still hovering around that top 5, and by top 5 I mean number 1. 5 players, that's what we're after. Getting after it and almost holding out Hung-Shin Shield. She won't have that putter in her hand for very long. Speaking of a brief delay, pause on hole number 12. They need the player who just birdied to arrive first. Quick snack, quick pause, and a quick chat with their caddies. What are we thinking? 6 iron, 7 iron? They will, of course, have an idea with the pre-scout, but make changes as you see the conditions and what they mean. Of course, those irons are for the par 3, 12th. There's no argument about what's coming out of the bag here on the long par 5. 538 yards, 492 meters. Drivers away. Well, we lose sight of it in the dip with the fairway by the rough. We'll get a better look in a few minutes on what the lie will be. ENG did have a birdie on the last par 5. That was the 7th. It was one of 4 in a row. It was a par for her on the first. Drive here, a good one. Down through the fairway, and everyone's off on the jog. She'll after. Excellent approach. She leaves herself with less than a meter. Gets her birdie. 6 and 9. The birdies, a bogey at 4. A 35 at the turn. She is 1 under, tied for 18th. GN Seoul also finding a way on 10. She's 148 away, playing from the rough. Looking to stay close to the front. She was looking to be on the green. We should have started there in retrospect. Tough one, working back on the tighter angle, having missed the fairway right. Now on Songi. She'll play this iron shot from the fairway. 145 and a 5-iron. She has some troubles with her second as well. She avoids the sand, but also avoids the fairway. Dungan, -3, 119 meters away on the par 4. Delivering that with a good bit of touch. She is tied for 6th. There's bogey free on the way out. You mean a little extra oomph on the long drive. Quick jog up the hill, and the leading rookie, early doors in the season, Jung Ji-oh, -1, 253. Takes the fairway wood out, and she'll have a bit of an up ramp. One last check to make sure she was aligned. Now she wants to know where it's headed. She'll be just fine with that. A 2006 birthday. Turned pro in November of last year. So far in the season, excuse me, already a top 10. Tucson ENC Weave Championship. She finished 4th in her first event. Both of the campaign and in her senior KLPGA career. Always exciting, surely. And as we take a peek at what's above the course, we do see some low ceilings still, but the rain has stayed away. No one yet to claim that top spot. 5 players on 68s. Kim Min-ju, Hong Jung-min, Park Ji-young at 3 under. Hung Yoo-min, Chung Yoon-ji, and Lee Dong-in. It's great that we're going to keep a close eye on them because they are the closest to the leaders and the best chance of taking that top spot. We'll take a quick break and be back with more from Lakewood. Officially at the midway mark of our opening round coverage, the marathon, that is the 47th KLPGA Championship presented by CreaS F&C, live from Lakewood Country Club. Great to have you along with us. The opening round, especially when it's a rainy, a wet opening round, can be a bit of a slow burn. Players know that there are 72 holes. They cannot win this tournament in 18 holes, but they can definitely lose it. Getting a feel for the course, getting comfortable in the major and all the pressure that comes with it. All a part of the Thursday. Next up is Hung Yu Min. High lofted approach. Over the sand trap, she is the furthest from the pin of the group. Let's go to 10. Shihan Seoul. 22 meters from off the green. Takes a fair bit of the speed into that approach. Up on the tiptoes. Okay, I can work with 2.5, 3 meters. That's no problem. To get underway after a lengthy wait, patiently waiting her turn, of course.
Nice one!
That will have just enough legs on it. 4 birdies now through 10 holes and 4 under. And aren't able to replicate the magic. We came close. You mean we'll need one more short tap. Unsung Yi is next. Now the proposition is a bit of a different one here. She's tied for first in par saves this season at nearly 90%. She needs to dig deep again, and somehow she avoids disaster once more. Only bogey on the round remains at the first hole. And a long crescent-shaped putt. And 2 putts is what it takes. There's Yoon Sua. Even after 9, she begins her time on the mountain course with a drive to the left side of the fairway. Chung Yun-ji for birdie, and knew right away that that wasn't going to cut it either. Amata Som, her second at 10. Just and only just clearing the fringe, but she will be putting for birdie next. One green backing onto another. Dart to the middle of the green. So we start on the par 3 for Hung Yoo-min. Next up, Chung Ji-oh. She has elected to go with the 8-iron. She goes just about equidistant, deceiving angle. She'll have, let's call it 6 meters they're looking for here, but one last member of the group, the class of the trio. Good job indeed. Maybe that's what Chung Yun-ji needs to kickstart the back half of this opening round. Long way in from a pace or two on. It was always going to be a 2-putt par type of situation. Still early in the season, but brilliant to see those pops of color around the greens. taking a look at some of the stats today. The driver's been really the only thing holding her back. 6 of 9. Peng Shield teeing off on number 10. Hear the thud announcing the arrival on the green. Long right to left breaking putt for a birdie. Not going to be quick enough, excuse me. Jan sold the second shot. Well, it didn't quite go the way she had hoped. Only 90 meters to go. She needs to blast this through the rough, clear the sand, and get down and stick in a hurry. Does just about all of those things, but of course loses a bit of the backspin. Hung Yumin for birdie. On 12. Looking to get up. So too much work. She is slightly off. That minor miss causes quite a problem. Thick second cuts. She navigated it about as well as she could. Well, the option to putt from there. It's a decent second shot. Well, that putter is not seeing eye to eye with her. We just saw how challenging this could be. She is very, very lucky to have that little extra power. She caught it thick. You could see it. You could hear it. That is one of the more dramatic and certainly one of the most exciting putts we've seen in some time. It's been a long climb back up to even, and she gets there with quite a lot of excitement.
플레이하겠습니다.
Listen and look
갈게요.
out, in fact. And a couple more bounces down the card path. I am quite confident in saying that will be Hung Yumin's longest drive of the week. This should be significantly less dramatic, and is so in regulation, in the fairway, on we go.
오늘 먼저 할 거야? 내가 먼저 해? 내가 좀 먼저 가래?
Sunny starting the long journey back across. Duggan from off the green, but still a punter's chance at 5 under. Needed it to break right. If anything, it moved more to the left. So far, we've been able to avoid the skies reopening. Ceilings stay low, the wind's picking up, and there's always that chance. Maybe puts a little more impetus on birdies now instead of waiting for the final hour. slightly disheartening effort. Mentioned it earlier, but it's worth repeating. We talked to so many players in the lead up to this event, and they stress the importance of the short game, especially on a course like Lakewood. There are birdies out there to be found. Obviously, we were shown that repeatedly by Lee Jung-min last year. With these greens, the setup shots are absolutely paramount.
나이스 파!
She keeps herself right there. She'll have to try for 5 under on the next. Chung Yoon-ji. 5 under was also there for the taking for her in this round. And then the putter went ice cold, and the irons aren't faring a whole lot better. Han Yumin in the rough after that ricocheting drive down the cart path. Only 90 meters to go, and though she was given a gift, she squanders it and ends up in the sands. Mata Som 2 under on 11. Gliding back on path after landing in that back quadrant. That's a pretty good way to illustrate just how uphill that approach was. This is Park So-hye +3 after 9. Halfway through her round, beginning the back and sending a drive down the fairway. Chan Sol here at number 12.
천천히 해, 언니 먼저 할게.
Middle, front, right, that's the general vicinity. Instead of words, why don't we just let Chan Sol show you? That's exactly where she wanted to be. It's a great tee shot. It was quite literally perfect. And a little backspin to keep her within 4 or 5. From the sands, going to undo the mistake. That is 3. She'll have a putt for par. Expertly navigated navigating that tee shot, avoiding the sand, and Sung-Yi is on. A Dungan 8-iron to start the 12th. This is a unique perspective of this par 3. We've seen a few really nice tee shots here. We can add that effort to the list. Stepping up and overpowered putts. She is one of the most polarizing players. So when she is on, and there is hardly anyone that can hold a candle like we saw with that run earlier in the round, but the other side of that spectrum can be punishing as well. Hung Yun So out with a 38. Here's her drive at number 1. Mata Som on number 11. So looking at this putt, that if she converts, we'll take her to 3 under. Here she goes then, a little right to left break to start before it straightens out. Here it comes. This runs out of speed as it changed directions. We'll stay just out. Par will be the outcome. Jansel, little right to left. Movement anticipated. Healthy amount of distance. She gives herself a healthy score through 12 holes. Just her second birdie. This and number 7. Well, she was patient. And she uses just about every one of her tricks to avoid a bogey. A wild hole for her after that pretty remarkable drive that ricocheted down the cart path. Now Lee Dungan, this is to take the lead. No. Too generous. The space she gave herself, anticipating the break. And she sails on by. And Chung Yun-ji, it goes from frustrating to worse. Another chance another hole. She should have been in with a shout for birdie. Instead, she relinquishes another. Drive that's is headed for and stays in the rough. And Unsung-Yi looks up skywards, frustrated, mystified in some senses. No such difficulties for Hung Yu-Min. She finds the fairway. Chung ENG last in the group on 14. 363-meter par 4. It's a helpful kick. She's got that driver pretty well dialed in at this point. We're hoping that the other clubs will soon play along. Pak Bo-Gyam on 11, the par 5. Downhill and breaking. Breaking about a full second too early.
Oh, okay.
Returning to the course with a bang. Call that 4 meters at the very most. Nice shot with the wedge. Now on 12. Pak Bo-Gyam, it's not quite a wedge. It's an 8-iron. The premise feels the same. Just enough to get on the green. Slides down the hill to the left. And stop is what the supporter shouts. a-okay with where Pang Xinxiu ends up. More approaches with a mixture of backspin and point of arrival. The speed required to reach the top of this two-stage green. Next up, Chung Jio, -1. 138, 5.4 meters underneath the pin. Berkey wanted to guarantee that she'd be on the green all the way to the back end, just before the fringe. Slight roll, but long putt forthcoming. Hung Yamin on 14, the par 4. Just about level with the flag when she landed. It's an interesting allotment there. When you grab a hybrid, you're probably at the back. Any iron, and you're stuck on the front.
나이스.
Kudos to Cho Jung-min with a birdie at 11. She goes to even par. Jihan Sol on the hillside between the sand and the first cut. And where does this end up? Well, back of the green. Wanted to stay front left. From the sand here is recovery efforts, part 1. Similar to Jihan Sol, a long way to overcome. Lee Dungin was just about completely blinded from the pin. Pang Xinxiu is back at long last. She's been steady. Birdie, a couple pars, another birdie, couple pars, steadily hanging around those top 20 positions. And here on 12, 15 centimeters short.
안 들렸어. 거기서 봤을 때 속이 더 길어 보일 거야.
Another group coming through this first hole, and another drive. We were scattered, of course, with 132 in the field. That is a lot of players, 66 to work through both sides of the courses. The organizing committee has their work cut out for them always in these heavily attended majors. Gamma just ended up being a bit too much for her distance-wise. Is about as close as you can come. Balancing that feeling of satisfaction and frustration. Jung still out on the birdie parade. Yoo Hyun Jo is not. Excellent, a long ranger. Birdie the third hole of both the Mountain and Forest course. It's -1. There's TUI. Another shot with more hope than realism. And no guarantee on the next either. Speaking of long range, almost at the back fringe, weight-wise, it was 100 out of 100. Hung Shield, number 12. On its way. Reaching, but not reaching for new heights. And here we go then. That will send a bolt of electricity through this group and into the crowd. Co-leader Hung Min up to 4 under. An improbable, a dazzling putt. Getting to that stage of the round for these groups, we needed that one big moment, that injection of belief. You gotta see it too, even if it's not you. You see your groupmate make that putt, it can be contagious. This is the history hole. Look back, stroll down memory lane if you would. Jan Souls had a couple of big moments, looking for another pop here. Full 360 and hangs on long enough. Acknowledging the crowds who acknowledge the birdie. There's still time to rescue something from this first round, and it's not as though she's plummeting down the leaderboard. She's just a little bit stagnant at the moment. Dropped in with precision, and we can chuck that up to about 5 meters away. A really nice arrival. It is so easy to go pin seeking, not carry enough speed, and shrink back to the front fringe. Pang Xin meanwhile, par 3. A little bit further out than she would have wanted to be. This is on by. Young Joe on 13. Camera pans right and your ball is moving left of screen. That's never a good sign. She was well beneath the pin and was just hoping to get to the green, and that she was in her defense. Chung Yun-ji, the approach on the par 5. Set up for the approach, excuse me, on the par 5. It is the final of the long holes on the way in. 16's a par 4, 17's a par 3, and 18, the finisher, is also a par 4. Over to 15, Hung Jin Sun. One she's got to have. Yes, indeed, secure.
화이팅! 이쁜이
4
한진선
birdies now
화이팅!
for her today. Doing enough to chalk off that early bogey. And now, simple yet important finish for the par. Matesson to go to 3 under, 1 back, no. Awfully close, but alas.
여기가 이렇게
색이 났어.
바람 직전도 보면 아무지도 않고.
What you mean? She's a co-leader now. 204, second shot on the par 5. Here we go. She is dynamite with this club. And she uses her power to her great advantage. She clears the water and will roll a long way back. Now it's a putt for eagle. She just needs the birdie. She gets there in 2. She'll be the first to reach 5 under. Back on 13, it's about 10 centimeters too light.
깨랑 많이 부드럽고.
아, 나 이거 가면서 화장실 가기.
Wait a minute for the birdie. Bokyam looking to reach 2 under par. Left to right breaking putt, straightening out. She didn't look particularly interested in watching that ball miss. Her senses were tingling and she's still checking the face of the putter to see if that was perhaps the reason she has to settle for par. ENG on 15, bouncing, skipping, and pulling back on the string. As textbook as you can possibly get. And E. Duggan, 128 in the rough. Second shot, 14.
고! 샷! 굿샷!
Here's the praise from behind the green, and she is beaming, ear-to-ear grin. Somewhere amongst the two successful shots in her group, she finds herself perfectly in between. This is the KLPGA Suite Lounge. It's a sweet spot to watch the action, perched in behind the 15th. Some pretty good vibe going on up there. She's doing her prep work now. Scanning the various, and there are multiple, break points from across this green.
내리막이지.
It's 22 meters for an eagle. She does not need the eagle, of course, for the lead. Realistically, she wants 20 of these 22 meters and take the rest. Starting left. It's going to pick up some speed. It's not quite going to be enough, though. That's certainly not an automatic putt. And now, another case of leaving a little on the table. Hung Xin on the 13th. Still 2 under. Kisses that off the fringe, but there it goes, shooting off to the right. Jian Sol looking to stay at 2 under now. From our vantage, this should be a little right to left. Not overly dramatic, but she has to be mindful. She's putt well today, but unfortunately for her, that one slips through her fingers. Chung Jio. Try. That's where Hung Yumin wanted to be after her putt. Chung Juri also 2 under at the turn. Mata Som from off the cart path to the right. She had truly no angle, was hoping for a minor miracle. And now we can go to 15. Hung Yumin. This is a look at a birdie. Left to right, looking for the outright lead. No! Wow. Oh! I take it back. That surprised everyone. Gravity does its thing. It's back-to-back birdies, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is your new leader. I'll say that's one of the most delayed drops I can remember seeing, certainly on this tour. It's funny, they're going to slow this down, right? The replay operators. It has stopped at that point, and everyone goes, oh, caddy, golfer, announcer, supporters. But no. Well, you have to be lucky to be good, and sometimes good to be lucky as well. And she was both of those things with that putt. Bogem 139. No, she's in the sand. She missed the green to the right, and with that loft, with that ball flight, she was probably going to be looking okay if she could have caught the front side of the green, knowing it was going uphill. For Chung Yun-ji, she needed that something fierce. 2 bogeys in between, but it's her first time birdieing since hole number 8. You can still hear some of the roars from the previous birdie for Hung Yumin. And around the same time, Peng Chin-chil came that close to adding one of her own.
나이스!
And now Mata Som, Bit of a recovery mission here. He gets up, but getting down won't be a whole lot less complicated than that was. Tip of the cap as the youngster acknowledges the supporters. AJ Hyun 3 plus 3 after 9. Starting from about 4 feet off the front of the green. It is a bump and run, and it runs into a very makeable par position. To 18, Lee Dong-eun here at 15, the final par 5. She's on the fence. She doesn't know if she likes it. She should. It's a good second shot. Park Bo-gyeom exchanges wedge for putter. A very, very short and simple putt to finish this all off.
틀은 없고 살짝 흙만 살짝.
Left breaking putt, too much of that break. In fact, even though the weight was just about spot on.
네네 괜찮아요.
잠깐만요.
Jun Ye-sung, officially at the midway mark of her rounds. The runner-up last season, finishing 4 strokes back, still a 19 under, a remarkable 4-round score at what was then the 46th KLPGA Championship. It's year 47 for this major, the first of the year. We'll take a quick beat and come back with more just about closing time at Lakewood. All right then, time to settle in. Sheehan Seoul approach on 15. It's only 71 meters. Wants to stay to the front right of this green. Looks like she has nailed that, and then some. Marvelous. Double digits, wedge in her hand. There are few better. At the edge of my seat waiting to find out what that roar was for. We'll get there with some patience. 163, Kang Ji-yo in the rough. She skirts the outside fringe. She crucially stays out of the sand and will likely be chipping that down in what will be her third shot. And that is exactly the shot you want to play. ENG, she is not getting too high, not getting too low, but you can see she's playing freer, playing with some relief, certainly after finally ending the birdie drought. Now, Hung Yumin, she stands alone atop the leaderboard, 102. She has a bit too much torque as she swings through the follow-through. Bogyam for par, speedy, but online, and here's the clink. Unseen Sun putting from off the green on 17. Speed looks good. How's the line? It's great. Tied for second now. 5 birdies on the day to go along with her 1 bogey at 4, and she still has the 18th hole to go. A nice arrival onto the green. Onwards and over. This putt. Satisfactory results. Yu Hyun Jo, another par. Birdie's at 12 and 3 on the day. Starting right, needs to straighten out. She knew what it was going to do. Just didn't give herself enough breathing room to the inside left. As everyone catches their breath on what has been a fast and furious opening round of the CreaS FNC 47th KLPGA Championship. The rookie is playing some great golf. We would also hope that she is taking in the experience and learning from the years and previous realizations of her groupmates. Chan Sol firing up the crowd, bogeying 14, but going and getting it right back immediately. And just a bit too fast and a bit too flat. Sailing past the hole. Par 4 16, 3 holes to go. Par 4, par 3, and a par 4. That's the finishing stretch on the Forest course. Peng Chin-Shiel looking for 3 under. Here it comes, downhill and quick. Too quick and not enough. Room offered to the outside right of the hole. It costs her a birdie. Kang Yoon-ji looking to make it back-to-back. She has been streaking. Another birdie streak is being built in front of our very eyes. Som will play her approach on the par 5. We've seen some really good scores here on 15 today, and we have the potential to add to that list. It's a good one. Well, let's take a flashback. Look back in time. 17. It has been done. It has been done by the champ. Obviously, it was a much sunnier day when that ace happened. but it is possible. Some players win 10 titles and never get a hole in one. Played this sport for years and years and years and years. Careers long, lifetimes worth. The ace is always special, even more so. Walk away with the keys to a brand new Mercedes or with a check for a 234 million watt like He Jun-min did last year. Looks like to be about 913,000 American dollars or 805,000 euros. Here is the tee shots. Call it 6.5, maybe even 7 meters. Back to 16. Second for Chi-Han So. 113 and 4.5 meters below the pin.
Sit.
Here are the shouts for sit.
Yeah.
Ends up being pin high, I suppose, depending on your perspective. Not her best, certainly not her worst. Fading slightly to the left. None of the three in this group will be over the moon with those tee shots, but all are the chance. Expecting this to move ever so slightly to the right. Maybe more than ever so slightly. Maybe that wasn't a strong enough description. She knew where it was going to go. She just did not know how much. The answer was too much. It's par.
그래, 괜찮아. 오, 좋아.
She's the victim of a down sloping green. She'll stop on the fringe. Now this is textbook stuff. It's a great up by Sung-hee. Just one tick below 100 meters. E. Dungan, pitching wedge. 3 holes to play.
오 좋다. 좋아 요거 꽂혀. 너 길어. 아 괜찮아. 굿샷.
Deeper, a bit more off to the left, and then would have been ideal, but struggled to argue with the evaluation that it was a good shot. And on this particular try, 100% power is what was needed. I mean, he was probably about 70. There's a cavalcade of golfers coming through. Back to 17. The lead's 1. Hung Yumin can double that if she can reach 6 under par. Dramatic again, but no chance this time for a late save. So Jean on the very last hole gets under par. So opening round to forget, 3 birdies, 1 bogey to go out with the 38. She battled back hard and ends up with the 71. Dungan for birdie and a share of the lead. Up she'll go, left to right. Gonna need to give this a good crack. On its way. Breezing on by and missing to the inside left. Sun next to try for 5 under, and she comes within a whisker. Gio. The misread that time. Frustrating one. Just 1 of 18. No chance to do it all over again. Tiny tap, taking it the rest of the way. Anjin Sun in with a 33. She finishes tied for 2nd at that popular 4 under score. And that's a good birdie. Well earned. 7. Chung Yun-ji, your putter rears its ugly head again. Four-round affair, this KLPGA Championship, but she will certainly need to bring a much better putter to the course tomorrow. On 15, Peng Shin-Shield, about 2/3 of a swing, looking for control. She has everything: the speed, the placement, the backspin. That's a good golf shot. Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights then. This 12th hole. We're going to see a lot of 4 underscores. We're also going to see a fair amount of birdies here. That's how the highlights work. It is getting us caught up on what happened earlier before we began our broadcast. And when we began our broadcast, there were 4 players at 4 under par. Would see one, of course, rather famously, go on and take the outright lead. This is some of what we missed this morning. They started early, they started often, these excellent shots. Didn't see many holeouts from the fairway, though. That's in a class of its own. On hole number 10, there was a brief moment where 5 under even seemed like a low score, but as you can see, the skies, well, they opened up and changed things drastically. We wouldn't see many a highlight reel shot from this rain-packed portion of the afternoon, but that's not to say there weren't any. It's a lovely approach, getting the ball within a foot or 2. Birdie from there, 4 under. On this look from across the green, Pak Yang-Yang, who just had the 1 birdie on the way out. She would rack up 3 on the way in. Remember, she is a 2-time champion of this event. It was her first ever LPGA victory. The defense was a successful one as well. EA1, it was also in that similar vein. Slow start, 1 birdie on the way out. Would pick up a couple, marching in towards the 18th hole. And this on 15, the par 5, that would have been for an eagle and the outright lead. But instead, she would have to settle for just a little tap. And a birdie on either side of a bogey to go to 4 under. Hole number 9 is where we want to head next. Final player in the group to approach with a gentle breeze, pushing her, guiding her towards the cup. From there, it was just a simple finish. And Pak Yang-Yang, all 4 birdies on the par 4s today. She was a co-leader and was a co-leader for quite some time. He won with this effort on hole number 16 for her today. Technically hole number 7 for the course. Go to 3 under. And then to 5, wherein Lee Dungen, long range, swooping. Speed has to be right. Pace has to be right. Both were. And it was a brilliant start. 2 birdies in 5. Off to 7 and the par 5. This is where Hung Yumi really steps into the spotlight because she can crush golf balls, drives, second shots, hybrids, woods. They're all helpful. She birdie the first and the 7th. She's well on her way towards the top. EA1 would get one final birdie on the 9th or 18th hole of the day and get to that 4-under plateau. We saw this one a couple of hours ago now. Lee Dong-un putt down the hill and the three. The execution marvelous. 4 birdies and 10 for that 4-under mark. And now Hung Yoo-min, this is where she really ramped up the pressure. One of the longest putts we saw all day long. That's why I keep repeating. This is a backstop for you. 4 under through 14 on 15. Well, this is one I won't soon forget, certainly. Look at the list. At least 8 players at 4 under. We thought that would stay that way, but alas, as if gods were just having a laugh. Back-to-back birdies. Who are the top at 5 under par. So, unfortunately, this is all the time we have today. But fear not, we will have lots more tomorrow. Same time that we began the broadcast this afternoon. 3 p.m. local time in Yangjushi. Will Hung Yoo-min be the leader? Will she be the leader by 1? Will she be the leader by 2? Will she have any company? Lee Dong-un is still just a 1 stroke back. Chae Min-young, we're not going to forget about her either. 4 under through 14. Chung Yoon-ji, Pae So-yeon, Kim Jae-hee, and a few others still out on the course, and all within 2 shots. We'll also check in to see how our defending champion, Lee Jung-min, fares. We know Chun Ye-sung, who finished runner-up last year, is also in the event, and some past champions. It will be a fabulous weekend of golf, a celebration surely, and we look forward to picking up the action tomorrow, Friday afternoon at the Lakewood Country Club. But for now, we say goodbye and thank you for your viewership of the CreaS F&C 47th KLPGA Championship. We will talk to you again tomorrow on the KLPGA Tour.